Hello everybody, Bernie Cronin, that is our special guest today. Bernie has over 30 years experience in sales and management. He's also a very special coach for large organizations that needs to increase their sales. Today we're going to learn more about Bernie, more about his organization, but especially we're going to learn more about how to make a good sales. Good morning, Bernie.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you for inviting me in.
Bernie is also the author of several books. The first that I can mention is If You Can't Act, You Can't Sell. Tell us more about this book, Bernie.
Well, many years ago, Maria, I had in my whiteboard in my training center up in Massachusetts, if you can't act, you can't sell. And subsequently, one of my clients moved to New York, and she said, Bernie, I want you to come to New York and meet my acting coach, Anthony Bova. And I said, why? She said, well, he's my acting coach, and you always said if you can't act, you can't sell. So I think you two ought to meet. So I went to New York, got to meet this gentleman, went to his acting class the next day. He subsequently came up to Boston, went to my training, one of my sales training classes, and then we collaborated and put together a weekend boot camp on just theater and acting in the world of sales and client development.
So you mean that acting, like you need to act when you are making the call, when you are talking to that potential client, you need to act in terms that your mind has to be focused totally on what you're doing in that moment?
You do in the sense, but we don't use the word act as if you're doing something you're not. You have to be authentic. As one of my acting coaches said, the key to acting is, you do not become the character becomes you. Eric Morris, who coaches Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, Johnny Depp, and Eric is the author of 5 books, and I've been to his training as well. So in terms of acting, yes, it's a theater. But when you're in that sales interview, you are and I never use the word sales call, by the way, sales interview, because you're there to get information, not give it. But you are the producer, the actor, the choreographer, the best man or best woman in that scene.
That sounds so interesting because usually people hates to make calls to sell, right? They say people don't like to make calls or to contact people to do the sales because a lot of people think that actually sales is the worst thing
Oh, yeah.
to do. But the way you make it sound is so interesting and so informative, but especially it's like an art to do this connection with a potential client. In your latest book, which is Showtime, Celebrating the Actor in You, that's another very nice title for this book. I love the name. I was reading a little bit about this. I just started. And you mentioned in your book about the 9 acts. Tell us about that, Bernie.
Well, I did not call them chapters, and I learned that the way the brain processes information in chunks of 7 plus or minus 2. 7 wonders of the world, 7 days in a week, 7 colors in the rainbow. So I crafted the book in 9 acts, and then each act has 5 scenes. Okay, let the show begin, showtime, and then curtain call is the last of the 5. So that's kind of the scenario of the role of the salesperson, the role of the client, the role of the recruiter, the role of the leader, manager. So everyone has a role to play in these scenes, and that's how I crafted the book.
Very interesting. And as part of the organization that Bernie is in charge as president, we also were going to start working with him very closely with the Global Trade Chamber, and actually he's going to be in charge of the whole training for our team. And that is very interesting. This morning actually we had the first training, and I was impressed with the 7 words. Share with us about this. What is that about?
One of the things that I cover is the 7 power words, and there's a wonderful book about words that work by Dr. Frank Lutz, but I came up with my own 7 power words. Again, number 1 is feel. You can't think something, you feel it. That's why salespeople get think it overs. They say, what do you think about this? As opposed to saying, how do you feel about it? From the heart, not the head.
So you don't say how you think about it, you say how you feel about it.
Absolutely. Gets to the heart, not the head. That's intellectual. This is emotional. And then the second power word is invest, as opposed to fee, expense, tuition. Because it is an investment when someone, whether they buy whatever product or service anyone out there is selling. It's an investment. And the third power word is fit. We want to make sure there's a fit for what product or service I have and what the prospect may want. And then the fourth power word is share. Can you share with me what you'd like to accomplish, not tell me? And the fifth power word is we. When we're working together, not I, me, or my, those are words that shouldn't be part of the lexicon. We, when we're working together, here's how we partner with you. And then the sixth power word is open, as in, are you open to inviting me in to talk for 30 minutes to see if what I've done for others might work for you? Not, can I have a meeting? Are you open to inviting me in? And then the seventh power word revolves around the decision. What is the decision process here? Most salespeople say, who's the decision maker? And the prospect says, I am. And there's always more to that. Well, what's the process here? Well, we need to get 3 bids, whatever it may be. So those 7 power words I've crafted for the world of sales and client development.
When you do cold calling, which is the part that you don't really know the potential client that you're calling to, so what is the best approach for this? You need to use the 7 power words when you do the cold calling, or you just want to call and get familiar with the person first? What will be the best thing to do when you do the cold calling?
Well, the best thing to do when you do the cold calling, Maria, is you don't get to use the 7 power words first, but something that I've developed, it's called pattern interrupt. The typical gatekeeper knows you're a salesperson when it says, may I speak to Maria? Who's calling? Bernie. So what you do is you interrupt their pattern. For example, hi, it's Bernie from Maria. Can you put me through? Now that gatekeeper can't say who's calling because I told her. And then her mother says, tell the truth, so she puts me through. Mm-hmm. Or she grills me a little bit further. But all my calls, even when I call my brother, hi, Dan, I hope it's Bernie for Dan, is he in? The secretary will answer the phone, this is Joan. Hi, Joan, it's Bernie for Maria, is she in? All my calls that way. I call it pattern interrupt, not sounding like the typical salesperson.
Mm-hmm. And when they say, okay, well, I'm not going to ask the name because he already told me the name, but then before they transfer, they're going to ask that in this case, the supervisor, the boss, the person that you're trying to reach, is Bernie on the other line, but the person is going to say, I don't know who's Bernie. So what will be the next step for you?
The next step is that I never lie. I have a message from Maria, and I'd like to convey it to her personally.
Very interesting.
I had a client one time up in Hartford, Connecticut, and he told his gatekeeper secretary, never put calls through from anyone except for 2. Someone who said they could increase revenue or decrease expenses. I want to speak to Maria about increasing her revenue.
Very interesting.
Okay, you create a little mystique there,
yes,
but
yes.
Again, does it work all the time? No, but so what?
People should leave messages if they don't answer in that moment, or you should call back.
I prefer leaving voicemail messages, but very short and brief. And I train my clients to do this. Hi, Maria, it's Bernie. I'm sorry I missed you. It's important that we speak. I'll be available today until 4 p.m. Call me at 9. In fact, and I emphasize, call me on my cell.
Very interesting, because in that you're given the special touch when you make the call. That is very attractive. Actually, I would call back.
Yeah, people
just
do.
Just to hear what this message is about.
I never say urgent. I say important.
Important.
Urgent would be something family related, but it's important that we speak.
And then this person calls you back. So what is the best script that you have to tell?
Well, then I say, thank you for calling me back. Are you from? Does my name sound familiar to you? No. Well, yours doesn't either. Let me take a moment and tell you what I do briefly, and we'll see if there's a fit. Back to the power word.
to the power.
Okay, I work with companies, and then I craft my 30-second commercial. I work with companies who are doing well but want to do better, but are experiencing difficulty with turnover, losing market share, cutting prices. I don't suppose these are any problems that you have, sir, are they? Then they start bleeding.
Very interesting, and especially for small businesses that they don't know how to expand or grow their business. So definitely a sales training is very important because everything is about sales. You can be the best shoemaker, but if you don't know how to sell, so you're gonna be losing.
Somebody many years ago, I forget who it was, but said nothing happens until somebody sells something.
There you go. There you go. So thank you so much, Bernie, for coming today. This is a very important thing to do. We need to learn more about sales. We need to know how to make calls. We need to know how to also build and keep the relationship with clients, because it's not just about making calls. It's about also keeping the relationship with the clients and making them feel that they are important for us, right?
Yeah, and now we're going to be offering that through the Global Trade Institute.
Yes, and we're going to start working with the Global Business Institute, and through the Global Business Institute, we're going to have several programs, several sales training programs to offer to different organizations. So you need to keep posted with all the videos that we are doing for the Global Business Institute. And we're going to have in the next presentation also Bernie. He's going to keep teaching us more about sales. So thank you again, and see you next time.
Thank you, Maria.